Could this be Brad Underwood's best basketball team? Well, if you ask him, yeah.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome one, welcome all to another edition of Locked On Illini. Thank you all so much for making us your first listen each and every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is right around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. My name is Sonny Verma, your host here at Locked On Illini, where I continue to provide you coverage daily. That's right, every single day of the beloved orange and blue. And I ask for nothing in return. But if you don't mind, if you're feeling nice, make sure you hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed to the video. For today's episode, I want to have a little fun. I talked about on Wednesday evening, the University of Illinois hosted kind of like a preseason party to get to know the upcoming basketball team. 14 members of the team were there. As I mentioned on a breaking news episode Thursday morning, we kind of found out that Andrej Stojakovic has a sprained knee. Feel free to go back and watch that episode. I'm not going to cover that too much here because simply there's no new news. But again, I still wanted to cover the event because it's a very cool event. It's gone on for 101 years now, which from what I read is the longest of its kind. And Brad Underwood, it's kind of a celebration, right? The players, Kylan Boswell was up there, and when he said he was from Champaign, according to people who were actually there, actually a couple of people in the Talk Illini Discord. Link should be in the description, by the way, if you want to join over 300 Illini fans all across the country talking sports all day. Well, people who were in attendance said that when Kylan Boswell announced that he's from Champaign, there was an eruption, there was an applause, and just the overall vibes and energy from that event was just spectacular. And Brad Underwood said, let's just say, Brad Underwood thinks. He joked around. I guess he was an auctioneer for an auction that they were running. And he did make a couple comments, including this one about what his expectations for next year's basketball team were. And I thought we'd talk about it a little bit on today's episode. Brad Underwood said, "I think the ceiling is as high as it's ever been for one of our teams." Yes, Coleman and Terrence, who were at the show, by the way. That includes your Elite 8 team. We've got veteran leadership. We've got guys who understand our program. I think all of our veterans are in position to be much better, much more experienced. I'm excited about that. But the true grit, toughness, character piece is something I'm excited to take to the court as we continue to move forward. He talked about how tough the schedule was. And again, when you're around Brad Underwood, as long as we have been now, he's reached, it feels like almost a decade here in Champaign. You understand that Brad likes to say things, whether he believes them or not. That's almost a skill set of his. He'll say something, and obviously there'll be a lot of exaggeration behind it. There'll be a lot of hyperbole behind it. And there's a chance that this is just simply one of those. But I did want to just think about for a second. And, I want to hear your guys' comments also. So let me know in the comment section, in the chat, does this team have a chance to have the highest ceiling of the Brad Underwood era? I'm not going to say is it, but does it have the chance to be? I think it's hard to say it is because in years past, we've had no-brainer All-Americans. We've had Ayo Dosunmu. We've had Kofi Cockburn. And while Terrence Shannon Jr. in his last year in Champaign, he wasn't a no-brainer All-American, I don't think there's a talent like that on this particular basketball team, at least next season. And obviously, that leap that Marcus Damask took, combined with Terrence Shannon Jr., shows you why that team was able to make the Elite 8 run that it did a couple of years back. But overall, I don't know if this can just be shooed away either. I don't think this is something you just disregard because I think I understand what Brad Underwood is saying. Brad has really leaned into the veteran leadership this year. It's hard for us to undoubtedly say this is going to be the best team. And more people, often than not, understandably, are going to say it's not because we haven't seen a lot of this roster before. I'm I've been sitting here for all summer long saying Mihailo Petrovic is going to be one of the Illini's best players. I think he can potentially be an all Big Ten type of player, but that's just all talk. That's nothing that we've been able to actually see on the court. There's no high school tape to watch. Sure, if you want to take the effort, you can find Petrovic's tape from Europe, and you can see some of the buzzer beaters and the type of play that gets me excited. But is that going to translate to the Big Ten Conference? I don't know that. You don't know that. And that goes for, we don't know how Zvonimir and Tommy are going to play together. This team, again, when you're talking about 6-7 new guys, we just don't know what this team is going to look like in order for it to reach the ceilings that Brad Underwood is saying that they can reach. Now, keep in mind, the last time Brad Underwood went super veteran, well, it was 2 years ago when he got players like Quincy Guerrier. You had Justin Harmon, all guys who were playing their final seasons in college basketball. We remember what happened the year before when Brad pretty heavily invested in younger players, and guys like Jaden Epps are no longer with the program. And Brad made a shift to focus on more veteran style of players. Now, let me ask you a question, and be honest with yourself. Again, feel free to let me know in the comment section. That 2023-2024 basketball team that eventually made it to the Elite Eight, did you think that that team was going to be arguably the best team that we've had in maybe a decade or so, maybe 15 years or so? It's certainly gone the furthest. Or was that kind of a pleasant surprise? I think maybe the same expectation is what Brad is having for this particular basketball team. Again, he has shifted away from the youth. As talented as Kasper Siakishonis and Will Riley were, Brad has decided to bring in guys who may be 21, 22, 23 years old, but they are battle-hardened. Those are type of guys who, as talented as freshmen might be, sometimes that spotlight gets a little too bright. But some of these guys who've been playing in Europe, that spotlight's been brighter. They've played in much rougher conditions. They've played in front of raucous crowds that you're going to find here in the Big Ten Conference when you go to a place like Mackey. I don't think it's going to shake a guy like Mihailo Petrovic. So I think when Brad says that, and I think he thinks of that 2023-2024 season. Now, again, is anyone on this team as good as Terrence Shannon Jr.? I don't think so. Heck, I don't know if anyone on this team is as good as Marcus Domask was that year. But I think this is kind of the point of what Brad was trying to say. That's why I'm not saying without a doubt that, sure, this team has the highest ceiling of any of those. Because I don't know who the guy who's going to step up is. Right now, I think Tomislav Ivišić is the best player on this basketball team. And that's a good thing. I think Tomislav is a very talented college basketball player. But who comes up after that? Is it Andrej Stojakovic? Is it Mihailo Petrovic? Does Kylan Boswell make a leap his senior year, his final year in college basketball for his hometown team? It could be either of those guys. But without knowing, it's hard to sit here and say matter-of-factly that, yes, this team has the highest ceiling. But I'm curious on your guys' thoughts. Can it be? Now, sure, this team, I know some of you are going to say, is not very athletic and may or may not be very tough. But 2 years ago, that team wasn't really all that athletic. Terrence Shannon Jr., he was an athletic freak. He was an NBA body playing at the college basketball level. And sure, this team doesn't have that. But overall, that team itself wasn't all that athletic either. So in a lot of ways, this team does kind of share similarities to the team that's gone the furthest in the Brad Underwood tenure 2 seasons ago. But again, it's got that big void to fill, that Terrence Shannon Jr. and that Marcus Domask void. Who are those guys who jump up and are able to make the leap? Maybe not necessarily to that level, but at least close to that level. If any of these guys do, then I'll say quite honestly, then, yeah, maybe Brad is right. Maybe this team has the potential to become a team that goes to the Elite Eight. And who knows? That team in 2023-2024 was one of the 4 best teams in the country. I truly do believe that. But they had an unfavorable matchup in the Elite Eight. I don't think this team is as good as that one. But what if they are to get to the Elite Eight and then have a more favorable matchup there? there's a chance this team could go further than the one 2 years ago. And then, turns out, Brad Underwood might be right. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who's Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. Honestly, I know we've been giving Hank Beatty a lot of love, but I'm just going to say the MVP last week was Gabe Jacas. Not that everybody doesn't already know his name, but if you don't, and you follow college football, trust me, you will know. I think he's a top 15 player in all of college football, not just the Big Ten Conference. And I think the rest of the country is going to find out about it, hopefully, as soon as this upcoming week. And just like that, just like Gabe Jacas delivered for the Illini, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through 11/18. Mazda crafts cars for those who choose to do more than simply move. They follow what moves them every time they drive. And that's what makes Mazda stand out. They go beyond safety, style, and performance to deliver a driving experience that feels alive in every detail. As an athlete focuses on every detail, Mazda does the same. From metallic accents to hand-stitched Napa leather, you can feel it the moment you get behind the wheel. The smooth handling, intuitive controls, and standard all-wheel drive, which is in every crossover SUV. It's the small details that make the big plays. And just like there's more to every player, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. When Tomiwa Durojaiye decided to transfer to the University of Illinois this offseason, I reached out to a contact who was very close to the Florida State program just to try to learn a little bit about Tomiwa. And this contact went a couple steps further than that. He actually introduced myself to Tomiwa in a text group chat and basically told him a little bit about myself and told Tomiwa that, hey, if he needed anything within the Illini community that I could assist him in, very flattering stuff. And the response Tomiwa got is something I wanted to kind of share with you. He responded in that very group chat saying, hey, Sonny, appreciate you. I saw the link of the show. You do great work. But this year, I just want to focus on football. This year, I want to basically make up for some of the mistakes I may have made in the past. I've grown up, and I just want this year to be about football. And I will tell you, feedback I'd gotten about this kid beforehand, I thought that made a lot of sense. But seeing the performance that Tomiwa had last week against Western Illinois, and quite honestly, all the love that he's now getting from all the writers who cover the Illini athletics program, made me just feel inspired to kind of tell this story. Because by the time he's done, again, he has, I believe, 2 years of eligibility. This could be one of the feel-good stories of college football, because it's not just about that one game against Western Illinois. It's about the journey that's kind of led him to this point. A journey that's taken him through 4 different college football programs before finally landing in Champaign, where hopefully he's found this perfect spot to reach his potential. If you don't know this kid very well, I'll give you a little backdrop. Tomiwa grew up in Philadelphia, but played his high school football in Delaware at Middletown High School. He wasn't just a big body on the defensive line. He was a 2-time first-team All-State player and 2021 Delaware 3A Defensive Player of the Year after leading Middletown to a state championship. His senior numbers are eye-popping. You're talking about 58 tackles, 25.5 tackles for loss, and 10 sacks. Even in a shortened 2020 season, he racked up 19.5 tackles for losses and 8.5 sacks. He was a top-ranked player in Delaware, a solid 3-star recruit, and someone who had all the physical tools. You're talking about 6'5", 300 pounds, long arms, and an explosive first step. Just looking at him, it was clear from the start that Tomiwa had what it takes to play at a high level of college football. The question was just where he was going to ultimately play. And his college journey has been an interesting one. He started out at Kentucky in 2022. He enrolled early, got his feet wet, but ultimately redshirted after just 3 games. For a guy with his pedigree, I'm sure that was kind of frustrating. Then went on to West Virginia, where he looked for more opportunity. And this is where you kind of saw a glimpse of what that ability can look like. In 2023, he played in all 13 games. He logged 23 tackles, 6 tackles for losses, and 3.5 sacks, primarily playing as an edge rusher in what they play as a 3-3-5 scheme. You can see flashes of that strength and athleticism that made him so incredibly coveted. So coveted that Florida State came calling. But the Seminoles defensive line last year was absolutely loaded. That meant Tomiwa was buried on the depth chart. He played in just 4 games, 3 tackles, 1 sack. Not bad, but not anywhere close enough to showcase his potential, which brings him here now at Illinois. After all those stops, Tomiwa finally stands and lands at Illinois. And what made this move different is, according to him, this was all about fit. This was all about development. And most importantly, it was all about trusting the coaches. He said so himself. I transferred multiple times. So before I went to Florida State, Illinois reached out to me to come take a visit. Coach B would send me videos on the technique and how they developed the line here. If I really wanted to give myself a shot at the NFL, to play there and get drafted and be a perennial NFL player, I felt like Coach B and Coach J-Mo and being in Coach Henry's defense was a perfect recipe. Love hearing stuff like that. He didn't just transfer to Illinois by default because nobody else wanted him. It's because he did his homework. He looked at Bielema's track record with defensive linemen, Terrence Jameson's reputation for developing and teaching technique, and Aaron Henry's system. And he said, you know what? If I'm supposed to be the college football player that I'm supposed to be, it's going to be at Illinois. And let's be real here. Illinois has kind of quietly become one of the better defensive line factories in the Big Ten Conference. Guys like Johnny Newton, Keith Randolph Jr. are proof of that. And Tomiwa recognizes that too. He said it himself. I think at Illinois, our coaches have respect. Now, with Illinois winning, it's coming with the black eye. Like the Illinois logo is having that respect. That's exactly what you want to hear from a guy, not just someone who's here to play, but someone who's proud to wear that black eye, even though I know a lot of the fans and community themselves don't exactly like that logo. But he's proud of it because of what it represents. Defensive coordinator Aaron Henry was really honest when talking about Tomiwa's journey. He said, the only thing that's going to stop him from being great is him. And quite honestly, the handler I spoke to privately told me the same thing. But maybe that's just the kind of tough love that Tomiwa needed to hear. Aaron Henry also drew a parallel to his own life, saying, I went to 7 different schools in 1 year. There wasn't any stability that allowed me to grow, even when adversity came up. I think you guys just saw a small fraction of that from Tomiwa on Friday night. I'm really, really excited about that young man's future. I mean, how do you not get hyped up hearing your defensive coordinator say that? He's talking about a young man finally, hopefully, finding stability and the structure that he needs in his life. And then came that debut, August 29th, 2025, against Western Illinois. Tomiwa absolutely delivered. He played in 24 snaps and he recorded 4 tackles and a sack and consistently disrupted plays. Even when double teamed, he found his way into the backfield. His sack was pure strength and pure explosion, the kind that's going to make NFL teams hopefully start paying attention. One coach reviewing film said, Tomiwa Durojaiye was outstanding. He plays with incredible strength, athleticism, and extension. This is freakish stuff from a 6'5", 300-pound defensive lineman. And I'll be honest, I saw it too. When I watched the All-22 on Sunday evening, James Thompson Jr. was obviously clearly the best defensive lineman, but Durojaiye was clearly number 2, and a guy who I'm extremely excited to see what his future at Illinois is going to be. Because not only do I think he's going to be above average this year, but I think next year he could be an outstanding leader of this defensive line. And that's where we're kind of at now, because what really stands out to me is character. Teammates seemingly have already seen it. There's a story from camp where guys were trying to distract him during an interview. I think maybe some of you guys saw that, making faces behind the camera. Tomiwa never broke. He just kept answering, serious, locked in. And you know what? As teammates, you have to respect that. I already told you my personal antidote with Tomiwa. As soon as he committed to the Illini, within a day or two, I spoke to him and he's like, no, hey, this year it's all about business. And that fits how he describes himself. A football junkie, someone who lives and breathes the game. He even has an eye on coaching once his playing days are finally done. After all the moves, all the adversity, he's matured. He even said, after going where I've gone and seeing what I've seen, I made the necessary computations and calculations based on my preferred long-term destination, which is the NFL. I asked around, did my homework, and Champaign quickly emerged as the place to be. This is a guy who understands why he is here, and he's going to make sure he does what he needs to make it to the next level. So what is next? Well, if his debut is any indication, Tomiwa is going to be a key piece to this Illini defensive front this year and maybe even next year. He has the size, the motor, and now hopefully the system that fits him. Coach Henry, again, himself said, when you stop running, you start to man up and grow in areas that you know you need to grow in. And from there, I think you can become the best player you're capable of being. And that's exactly what Tomiwa is doing right now. He's stopped running. He's locked in. And now he has a chance to become one of the best defensive linemen that Illinois has had in years. Maybe another name that eventually we see on Sundays. Illini fans, I can't say this enough. This is the type of guy, the type of story you want to root for. Not just because of what he's going to do for your football team, but you always want to see the growth and maturation in young men who decide that they want to represent your university. And if you believe in the purity of college sports and just what separates it from the pro level, I think that Tomiwa is one of the stories that you're going to pay attention to, not just this year, but next year as well. Hey, Locked On Illini fans, are you still paying full price for gas? Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use my limited time promo code FOOTBALL and get an extra 25 cents back per gallon on your first fill up. You could make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but it's totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, you can cash out anytime to your bank account, PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon or other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using my limited time promo code FOOTBALL for 25 cents per gallon off your first fill up. That's promo code FOOTBALL. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however I like to bet. Sometimes I want to bet an over. Sometimes I want to bet a team total. Sometimes I want to bet on a player prop. Whatever I want to do, FanDuel will take care of it for me. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. And welcome back. I did want to mention that, hey, I'm going to be doing another mailbag episode very, very soon. So if you have a question that you want answered from me personally, let me know. You can either leave it in the comment section of this particular video. You can email it to me at talkillini@gmail.com, or you can find me on your favorite social media at TheSunnyV or at TalkIllini, and let me know what your questions might be, and then I'm going to see what I can do to answer it in a mailbag episode next week. I did want to give a special shout out to the fans. At this point, Illinois just announced that their homecoming game against USC is now also sold out. Now, according to the media release that we just got, The Illini have sold out 3 games in a single season for the first time since 2008, and for the third time in the last 35 years. The previous 2 times being 2007 and 2008. I say that all the time. This is why I think this upcoming game on Saturday versus Duke is so incredibly important. I know there seems to be an aura of confidence within the fan base. And maybe I'm being a little silly in taking this Vegas line too seriously. And the fact that it's opened up at only 2.5, I believe it's gone up to 3.5 over the past couple of days. But I've said it, I think this game matters because the energy is there. The interest from the fan base is there. We're selling out games again, USC. We've already sold out against Ohio State. We've already sold out the following or next week against Western Michigan. By the way, if you do still want a chance to get tickets, make sure you are in our Discord, Doc Illini Discord. I give 2 tickets away to every home game. The energy is there. This fan base wants this football team to prove to them that they're legitimate, that they can win 9-10 games, and that this is a different era of Illinois football. That everything that happened before Brett Bielema, sure, we've had our highs and we've had some of the best players in college football history, but that was a very long time ago, and that was very few and far between. We all want to believe that now Brett Bielema he has turned us into a very consistent, top-level Big Ten program, and I think a lot of that has to do with what's going to happen on Saturday. And maybe I'm overinflating how important this game is and how much pressure there is, but I've got my breath held at this point. I'm not going to waver from my prediction as I made on Tuesday's episode. I do think Illinois is going to come and be victorious. I think it's going to be a late turnover that Illinois is able to come through, similar to what we did against Kansas last year. But I think there's a blueprint to beat Mensa, and hopefully Illinois is going to be able to execute that blueprint. This game, I'm certainly going to be looking very strongly at Aaron Henry and what kind of defensive game plan he has set up for him. We've played a couple of really good quarterbacks in the past couple of years, and Mensa may very well be the best of them, but that doesn't mean that the better overall team can't still win. So my prediction then was 27-17. I'm going to stick with 27-17. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game, though, because for Illinois to win, I think they basically have to hand the ball off almost 3 times every down. Just let Aiden, let Caden, and let Khalil Valentine wear down that Duke defense, which quite honestly didn't do very well against the Elon running attack. And I can say 100% matter-of-factly and very confidently that Illinois' running back room is a lot more talented than what Elon was given them on last Saturday. So let me know your final predictions in the thoughts just in the comment section. Remember, I'm going to go live immediately after the Duke game, as I do every single game, whether it's football, whether it's men's basketball, and even a couple times this season, I'm trying to figure out a way to do women's basketball as well. So if that's something you like, let me know in the comment section. Again, on your way out, please hit the like button on this particular video. Until next time, ILL. Love you guys.